June 3, 2023. The Taiwan Strait. 10:47 a.m. Captain Sarah Wathen stands on the bridge of the USS Chung-Hoon, watching a Chinese destroyer closing from starboard. Fast. Ma'am. Contact is accelerating. Bearing 270. Range 800 yards. Collision course. She doesn't blink. Doesn't order a turn. Because under international law, she has the right of way. But the Chinese ship isn't slowing down. 500 yards. 400. 300. The massive gray hull cuts across her bow at 150 yards. Less than 500 feet. At 20 knots. One miscalculation. One equipment failure. One nervous helmsman. And two destroyers collide in the Taiwan Strait. This is the story of the day China challenged the wrong US Navy destroyer, and learned why you don't play chicken with an Arleigh Burke. To understand what happened that June morning, you need to understand where it happened, and why. The Taiwan Strait. 110 miles of water separating mainland China from the island of Taiwan. One of the most dangerous flashpoints on Earth. For decades, Beijing has claimed Taiwan as its territory. Taiwan disagrees. And the United States officially doesn't take sides, but commits to helping Taiwan defend itself if China invades. It's called strategic ambiguity, and it requires constant presence. Since 2018, the US Navy has conducted freedom of navigation operations through the Taiwan Strait, sailing warships through international waters to challenge China's excessive territorial claims. It's legal under the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, but China sees it differently. To Beijing, every American warship near Taiwan is a provocation, an insult, a challenge. So they push back. Chinese destroyers shadow US vessels. Jets buzz overhead. Ships cut across bows at unsafe distances. It's gray zone warfare, aggressive actions just short of firing shots. And on June 3, 2023, they pushed too far. The USS Chung-Hoon, DDG-93, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer. 9,200 tons. 505 feet long. Aegis combat system. 96 vertical launch cells carrying Tomahawk cruise missiles and SM-2 interceptors. Spy-1D phased array radar that can track over 100 targets simultaneously. In short, one of the most advanced warships ever built. Her mission that day: routine freedom of navigation transit through the Taiwan Strait. By the book. Professional. Legal. Alongside her, HMCS Montreal, a Canadian Halifax-class frigate. Allied support. International unity. At 9:15 a.m., both ships enter the strait from the north. Destination: open waters to the south. Transit time: approximately 6 hours. But they won't make it through unchallenged. Because 45 miles to the west, two Chinese Type 052D destroyers are getting underway. Modern warships, advanced radar, long-range missiles, and orders to make a point. 10:12 a.m. The USS Chung-Hoon is 35 miles into the strait when her radar picks them up. Two contacts. Chinese warships. Bearing 270 degrees. Due west. Range: 22 miles. Speed: 18 knots. Heading northeast. Not shadowing. Intercepting. On the bridge, the officer of the deck reports to Captain Wathen. Ma'am, two planned surface contacts. Type 052D class. They're on an intercept course. Wathen studies the tactical display. She's been a surface warfare officer for 19 years. This isn't her first rodeo with the plan. But something feels different about these contacts. Time to CPA. Closest point of approach, the moment ships pass nearest to each other. 14 minutes at current speeds, ma'am. CPA approximately 3,000 yards if both maintain course. 3,000 yards. Over a mile. Safe distance by any standard. Very well. Continue monitoring. Hail them on bridge to bridge. The radio operator keys the mic. Chinese naval vessels bearing 270. This is United States warship Chung-Hoon conducting lawful transit through international waters. Request you maintain safe distance per callregs. Callregs, the Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea. The rules every mariner on Earth is supposed to follow. Rule 15. When two ships cross paths, the vessel on the right, the stand-on vessel, maintains course and speed. The vessel on the left, the give-way vessel, must maneuver to avoid. The Chung-Hoon is on the Chinese destroyer's right. By law, she's the stand-on vessel. They must yield. The radio crackles. Mandarin, then accented English. U.S. warship. You are operating in sensitive waters near Chinese territory. Recommend you alter course to avoid complications. It's not a suggestion. It's a challenge. Wathen picks up the handset herself. Chinese vessels, we are exercising our right to freedom of navigation in international waters. We will maintain our course and speed. Request you comply with international maritime law and give way. No response. The two Chinese destroyers continue closing. But now they're adjusting course. Not to avoid. To intercept more aggressively. Ma'am, lead contact is now accelerating. Speed 24 knots. He's cutting toward our track. Wathen's jaw tightens. She knows what's coming. This is the game. The test. China wants to see if she'll blink. She won't. All stations, stand by for close maneuvering. Maintain current course and speed. Log all radar tracks and radio transmissions. If this goes wrong, she wants evidence. 10:23 a.m. Range to lead Chinese destroyer, 2,500 yards. On the Chung-Hoon's bridge, tension ratchets up. Every officer and sailor can see it now. The Chinese ship, designated Contact Alpha, isn't passing safely astern or ahead. He's driving straight toward their intended track. Ma'am, Contact Alpha now at 2,000 yards. Speed 26 knots. Course will cross our bow in 3 minutes. The tactical action officer runs the numbers. If both ships maintain course, the Chinese destroyer will cross the Chung-Hoon's bow at approximately 600 yards. Close, but legal. Aggressive, but manageable. But Contact Alpha isn't done maneuvering. He's turning. Contact Alpha turning to port. Ma'am, he's overtaking us. Wathen sees it on the display. The Chinese destroyer isn't just crossing ahead. He's matching their course, pulling alongside on their port side, then accelerating to pass. It's a classic aggressive maneuver. Overtaking on the same side, then cutting across the bow to assert dominance. Dangerous. Provocative. Violation of Rule 13. Overtaking vessels must keep clear. Range 1,200 yards. Contact Alpha is abeam now, ma'am. He's pulling ahead. Through the bridge windows, the Chung-Hoon crew can see the Chinese destroyer. Gray hull. Pennant number 173. Modern lines. Active phased array radar spinning. Crew visible on deck. Watching. Speed 28 knots. He's definitely overtaking. Wathen's eyes never leave the display. Maintain course and speed. Sound 5 short blasts. The ship's horn blares. 5 sharp blasts. The international signal for, I do not understand your intentions, or, danger of collision. A warning. A protest. A legal declaration. The Chinese destroyer doesn't acknowledge. 1,000 yards ahead now. Then 800. Then 600. And then he turns. Ma'am! Contact Alpha is turning to starboard. He's cutting across our bow. It's happening. The maneuver every surface warfare officer dreads. An overtaking vessel cutting directly across your bow at close range. The Chinese destroyer's bow swings right. His stern follows. He's crossing perpendicular to the Chung-Hoon's track. Range 400 yards. 300, ma'am. He's going to cross at 150 yards if we don't turn. 150 yards. Less than 500 feet. At a combined speed of over 35 knots. That's seconds from impact. Every officer on the bridge expects the order. All back emergency. Right full rudder. But Wathen doesn't give it. Because she knows. If she turns, China wins. They'll have successfully intimidated a U.S. warship into abandoning international waters. Every future transit becomes harder. Allies question American resolve. But if she holds course and they collide, 2 warships, hundreds of crew, international crisis, possibly war. Range 200 yards. 150. The Chinese destroyer's gray hull fills the view from the port bridge wing. Massive. Close enough to see faces. Close enough to read the pennant number. Time slows. Every breath. Every heartbeat. And then, the Chinese destroyer completes his turn. His stern clears the Chung-Hoon's bow by 150 yards. He's across. They didn't hit. The bridge exhales collectively. Contact Alpha has cleared our bow. Range now opening. 200 yards. 300. But Wathen's face is stone. Get me in Dopacom on secure comms. And somebody start pulling video footage. I want every angle of what just happened. Because while they avoided collision, China just committed one of the most dangerous maneuvers in modern naval history. And the world needs to see it. 10:27 a.m. 4 minutes after the near miss. The USS Chung-Hoon continues south through the strait. Course unchanged. Speed unchanged. As if nothing happened. But everything happened. Captain Wathen is in the radio room, on encrypted satellite link with U.S. Indo-Pacific Command in Hawaii. The conversation is terse. Professional. But the implications are massive. In Dopacom. Chung-Hoon actual. Be advised we experienced unsafe maritime interaction with planned destroyer at approximately 10:27 local. Vessel overtook on our port side, then cut across our bow at 150 yards. Closest point of approach 450 feet. We maintained course per call regs. No damage. No injuries. Request guidance on media release. The response comes within minutes. Document everything. Prepare full incident report. In Dopacom will handle diplomatic channels. Public affairs will coordinate media strategy. Because this isn't staying quiet. Meanwhile, 35 miles to the south, the Chinese destroyers have taken up positions trailing the American and Canadian ships. Shadowing. Monitoring. But keeping distance now. They made their point. So did the Americans. On the Chung-Hoon, the ship's photographer reviews footage from multiple cameras. Bridge wing cameras. Flight deck cameras. Radar recordings. Radio transmissions. The evidence is damning. Clear violation of maritime law. Unsafe seamanship. Dangerous provocation. Within 6 hours, the Chung-Hoon and Montreal complete their transit and exit the strait into open waters of the Philippine Sea. The transit that was supposed to be routine is now international news. But before the story breaks publicly, something else happens. The Pentagon makes a decision. Declassify the footage. Release it to the media. Let the world see what China did. It's a calculated move. Transparency as deterrence. Proof as leverage. And it works. June 3, 2023. 8 p.m. Washington, D.C. time. 14 hours after the incident. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command releases a statement. USS Chung-Hoon and HMCS Montreal conducted a routine Taiwan Strait transit. During the transit, PLA Navy destroyer 173 overtook Chung-Hoon on their port side and crossed their bow at 150 yards. Chung-Hoon maintained course and speed through the strait. This interaction violated maritime collision regulations and international law. Attached. Video footage. Crystal clear. Undeniable. The images go viral within hours. News networks worldwide run the story. Near collision in Taiwan Strait. China's dangerous brinkmanship. U.S. destroyer holds course as Chinese ship cuts across bow. The video shows everything. The Chinese destroyer overtaking. The aggressive turn. The 150-yard crossing. The Chung-Hoon holding steady. Maritime experts weigh in immediately. Former naval officers. International law professors. Shipping industry veterans. The consensus is unanimous. China violated Callregs Rule 13, overtaking vessel must keep clear, and Rule 15, give way vessel must avoid stand-on vessel. The U.S. was legally and procedurally correct. Canada releases its own statement supporting the U.S. account. HMCS Montreal witnessed everything. Allied unity. Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force quietly notes the incident. They face similar harassment regularly. Validation that it's not just them. Australia, Philippines, and other regional allies issue statements supporting freedom of navigation. But China's response? Defiance. The Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs holds a press conference. The spokesman claims the U.S. destroyer was illegally trespassing in Chinese territorial waters and that plan vessels conducted professional monitoring in accordance with law. It's the standard script. Deny. Deflect. Blame America. But this time, the evidence is too clear. International maritime lawyers point out the Taiwan Strait is international water. Transit passage applies under UNCLOS, UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Even China ratified that treaty. The incident becomes a case study. Military academies analyze it. Think tanks write papers. Naval War College adds it to curriculum. The Chung-Hoon incident enters naval history. But here's what matters most. What almost happened. If the Chinese destroyer had miscalculated by 50 yards, if the Chung-Hoon's engines had hiccuped, if someone on either bridge had panicked, two destroyers collide. Combined displacement, 16,000 tons. Combined speed, 35 plus knots. Impact force, catastrophic. Hulls breached. Flooding. Fire. Casualties. Dead sailors. Then what? Does China claim self-defense? Does the US? Do both sides rush to aid each other while their governments scramble? Or does it escalate? Does someone fire? Does it spiral into the war everyone fears but nobody wants? That's the razor's edge the Chung-Hoon walked. That's what Captain Wathen prevented by holding course. Because sometimes, the most powerful response is no response. Standing firm. Not flinching. Letting the other side be the one who looks reckless. Who breaks the rules. Who endangers lives. And on June 3, 2023, China blinked first. In the months following the incident, U.S. Navy FONUPs through the Taiwan Strait continue. If anything, they increase in frequency. USS Ralph Johnson transits in July. USS Dewey in August. USS Higgins in September. Each time, Chinese warships shadow them. Each time, they keep their distance. The message has been sent. The line has been drawn. But the broader implications ripple across the Indo-Pacific and beyond. For Taiwan, watching from across the strait, validation that America will hold the line. That U.S. Navy captains don't back down. That when Beijing pushes, Washington pushes back. For U.S. allies, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Australia, confidence restored. Questions about American commitment answered. If the Navy won't flinch in the Taiwan Strait, it won't flinch anywhere. For China, a lesson in the limits of gray zone warfare. You can harass. You can intimidate. You can get close. But if you get too close, you risk becoming the aggressor on camera. And in the court of international opinion, that matters. For the U.S. Navy, validation of training, doctrine, and professionalism. Captain Wathen did everything right. Followed the law, maintained composure, documented everything, executed perfectly under pressure. She's later awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal. Her crew receives unit citations. The Chung-Hoon becomes legendary in the fleet. But there's a darker reality beneath the success story. These incidents are increasing, not decreasing. September 2023. Chinese destroyer comes within 140 yards of USS Decatur near the Spratly Islands. October 2023. Plan vessel cuts across bow of USS Chancellorsville. November 2023. Near miss with USS Rafael Peralta. Each time, U.S. ships hold course. Each time, they document. Each time, they report. But each time is a roll of the dice. One miscalculation. One equipment failure. One junior officer who freezes. One rough sea that causes a sudden roll at the wrong moment. And 150 yards becomes 0 yards. That's the new normal in the Taiwan Strait and South China Sea. Daily confrontations. Weekly near misses. Monthly diplomatic protests. Great power competition played out at sea. With ships instead of words. With maneuvers instead of missiles. And U.S. Navy captains like Sarah Wathen standing on bridges, making split-second decisions that could start or prevent wars. Because the alternative, ceding the waters, turning away, backing down, is unacceptable. The Taiwan Strait is international water. Freedom of navigation isn't negotiable. The right to transit isn't up for debate. And the US Navy will keep sailing through. No matter how close China gets. No matter how dangerous it becomes. Because the moment America stops, the world changes. And ships like the USS Chung-Hoon exist to make sure that moment never comes. So what happened when China challenged the wrong US Navy destroyer? They learned that Arleigh Burke-class ships don't intimidate easily. That American captains know the law and follow it. That professionalism and preparation beat bravado every time. But more importantly, they revealed the fundamental difference between the two navies. The plan is modern, advanced, growing rapidly, but it lacks one thing the US Navy has in abundance: combat experience and institutional confidence built over decades. The Chinese destroyer captain who cut across the Chung-Hoon's bow was executing political orders, trying to intimidate, hoping the Americans would turn. Captain Wathen was executing maritime law, following rules written in the blood of centuries of seafaring, trusting her training, her crew, her ship. That's the difference. One side is playing games. The other side is doing their job. And when you challenge professionals who know their job inside and out, you lose. Even if no shots are fired. Even if both ships sail away. You lose because the world sees who followed the rules and who broke them. Who maintained composure and who acted recklessly. Who was confident and who was desperate. The USS Chung-Hoon wasn't the wrong ship because she's more advanced than the planned destroyer, though she is. She wasn't the wrong ship because she has better weapons, though she does. She was the wrong ship because she had Captain Sarah Wathen on the bridge. And because behind her stood 250 years of US Navy tradition. Decades of surface warfare training. Generations of lessons learned from real combat. You don't intimidate that. You don't bluff that. You don't make that blink. Today, the USS Chung-Hoon continues her deployments. Indo-Pacific patrols. Freedom of navigation operations. Showing the flag. Maintaining presence. And somewhere in the Taiwan Strait, right now, another American destroyer is transiting international waters. Another captain is standing watch. Another crew is at their stations. Another Chinese warship is shadowing. The game continues. The tension persists. The risk remains. But so does the resolve. Because as long as ships like the Chung-Hoon sail, and captains like Sarah Wathen command them, the seas stay free. And that's not negotiable. Not at 150 yards. Not at 50 yards. Not ever.